All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order of the Finance Committee so we can make sure we have plenty of time to prepare for council. So I'd like to call the meeting to order November 4th at 5 p.m. If you'll call roll.
Yes, sir. Councilor Jones.
Here.
Waltney. Here. Allen. Smith.
Here.
And Harden is out. So you got three.
All right, so we've got a quorum. Okay, for the meeting on October 21st, we have a motion to dispense with the reading of those and approve them as distributed.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Smith, second by Councilor Waltney. Any other questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 3-0, that passes. Moving to old business, 080924, request to set bid date for October 29th for Fire Station Number 3 addition, Chief Broadhead. And we have a report. You opened the bids.
Actually, I did not open the bids.
Oh,
Barry
okay.
Davis opened the bids. I
Okay.
assisted.
So Chief,
There you
you
go.
want to give us a report?
I have my little sheet.
Absolutely. We had three bids. The lowest bid coming in at $409,476. I sent that out to the Finance Committee by email with the certified copy for all the bids. That's right on the bottom side of where our budget was. We had between $400 and $425 as our project cost. One of the things that it occurred to me when I met with JJ and Lester is that you guys probably we didn't share with you how we came up with this project. So I think it's important that you know kind of where this started. And I'll be very, very brief. Brian, could you throw up the picture of Station 3? When we evaluated the stations and kind of some of the additions, we know that Station 2 needs to be replaced. We don't want to put any money into it. But Station 3, on the other hand, we need to make work for probably the next 10 to 15 years unless there's some foreseen replacement. So this is what we're looking, this outside wall right here is what we're looking at adding to the other side. So that second bay normally has a reserve engine in it that's out right now. You'll see where the truck is there. Those red things are the gear lockers. Next picture, Brian. So it gets extremely close between that gear locker and when they open those doors, along with this hose, which is our exhaust capture system, drags the top of those lockers. That is what started this. Hey, we need to look into a method to move these out of this bay, which all of our stations are that way except for Station 1, and put them somewhere else. That sparked, we need a storm shelter after the last set of tornadoes that we saw. Our thought was that we put those two together. You're not going to use a storm shelter very often. Turnout gear room gets used about 3 times a day. So we put them in the smallest room possible, which would save us the most. So that is our goal for the plan, is to move all of this out into that side that we built. This is just one of the multiple renovations that we're going to need to do at this station over the coming years to make it last another 10 to 15 years. The bedrooms are all, it's been about 18 years since we did the last addition, and that was the kitchen. That would include the plumbing problem that we talked about. But to do that, we've got to get a space that we could make potentially temporary quarters before we can come in and gut the bedroom area and renovate it. The good news is it's a truss building, so that the interior walls are not structured, so we can just take it out to an open space and rebuild the interior portion of those bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchen. So that is kind of what led us into, this is the step one for that station. When we talked about Station 2, we had a contractor come out and they said the same thing, it's not worth renovating. Station 2 needs to come down. It was 4.6, I think, it was in 2019, it was 4.6 to renovate it, and I think, no, I'm sorry, 3.7 to renovate, like 4.6 for a new one. Didn't make sense. So we're trying to outfit this station to keep us going for another 10 to 15, unless there's some plans somewhere maybe to replace 2, but I realize that is a huge ask on our part of the Finance Committee and the city. So we did have a couple of things. You asked me about deductions, particularly about ways to shave costs.
Yes.
If we get rid of the pre-finished aluminum canopy, which would cover the generator and the canopy, we can deduct $13,318.
Slow down. Tell me again, get rid of what?
A canopy.
All right, can you go back to the main plan, Brian?
It's over the
Yep,
generator.
right there. There is a canopy listed in here that will cover the fuel tank and the generator. Our thought was, while we were building, if we extended that out, it would just help to have it all covered, life of the equipment. But it's been there for that way forever. So we can deduct a little over $13,000, and I'll give you the sheet too, so you don't have to, if we take that out.
Okay.
The other thing that is in here, and Barry, correct me, I asked Barry to come because I'm definitely not the construction expert. There's $20,000 in our current bid for unforeseen conditions, $2,500 for aid to construction, and then 50 cubic yards of unsuitable soils. So all those are things that we could have to do, or we may not need them. Part of the reason this one was so expensive is where the station sits. It is on clay, and we had to build pylons down and grade beams to make sure it could support the weight and that we're not gonna have foundation problems in the future. So,
So your soil there, clay should be good soil.
Depends on what kind of
Plasticized
clay.
clay.
It's plasticized clay, it's not. That's a bad clay.
we're built on a swamp.
So, and the old station, or the current station now has grade beams and piers already in it, so we know the soils are bad there. So we basically mimic that with that,
Okay.
in the new
So
construction.
you're gonna have to pull out topsoil and bad soil, or you just.
Possible, well, you pour a grade beam, you don't have to do near as much bad soils. So, but we do have drill piers to take it, to support the weight of that. Another cost in it too is this is a hardened structure for the safety of the guys in a bad weather event. Gets them out of that little small hut that they have anchored to the ground outside. So they don't have to go outside to get into a hardened structure during a storm.
We're gonna use that, chief, as lockers.
Gear running, yes, sir.
Yeah, so.
Try to get multi-purpose out of it, so.
Yes.
And the thought is they're not gonna be in here much, I'm hoping, that's the key. We made it just big enough to fit the lockers, and that you could probably get about 8 people in there, and they're not gonna be comfortable, but
Yeah.
during the tornado.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're in there for a tornado, you'll make it work.
That's right. If we swap these two, there would be a huge cost increase because of hardening the larger of the two structures. So we tried to make the hardened structure as small as we could make it and still fit the crew that is expected to be in that building there. Mimic Station One. Station One is the hallway that they did. To go back in and do an interior part would have been way more expensive than putting it on the outside. So, anything else we can answer?
Other questions?
You said you got $20,000 in for unforeseen.
Unforeseen.
That's low. 5%.
Well, I mean,
Well, it's 840 square feet.
Oh.
So I mean, it's not a large structure.
Yeah.
So, and there's no frills in it, so.
It is small, but like I said, we've gotta have, to start on the dormitory portion back here, and that plumbing line I was telling you about that comes right through these kitchens, I've gotta be able to get them out somewhere. So we'll have to work on that next, but this was just kinda step one of getting this station up to where it'll be good for the next 10 to 15 years.
And what did you say that, the deduct amount was for removing the canopy?
13,318.
318?
Yeah, that will take you down to 396, 158.
Okay. Well, I know I told y'all the other night that we probably would not push this out to council tonight, because we
That's
wanted
fine.
to at least look it over and.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
We just wanna make sure we answered all of your questions.
Yeah, no, that was great, that
And
was
then,
great.
same thing with email, if anybody wants to go down and see it, all you gotta do is let me know, and I'll make sure we make that happen.
And these are estimates by the architect of what we think it's gonna cost, not.
No, these are
No,
hard
these are
bids.
bids.
We opened the
We
bid
had
last
bids.
Tuesday.
We did a
Oh,
bid
these were the
opening.
bid things
Yes,
last Tuesday.
yes,
I'm
that's,
sorry.
we had 3 bidders
Yeah.
that bid.
Yep. All right, thank you, Chief.
It's great that we have
So we'll
three.
carry it over, yeah.
Yeah, for as small as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is really helpful. So we'll carry it over, for further, study and go take a field trip this week. All right, good deal. So, we'll carry that one over. Moving on, 02-10-24, request for consideration for the city to take over maintenance and service costs for 3 streetlights in the Gadsby subdivision. And then this one, what was the vote from, public safety? Is it, 4-0 to approve that? Anybody remember?
Is that-
This wasn't a public safety. It was not
Yeah.
a public.
Oh, it was Public Works.
Public Works, I'm sorry, Public Works, not public safety.
I don't remember. It was also
anyway,
not
it was
in
approved.
Public Works. It just came
Oh, was
straight
it?
to finance.
Oh, I thought it had already been.
It was a public work.
Oh,
It was
was
in
it?
Public
Okay.
Works, and it got voted out. I think it's 4-0 out of Public Works, but I just like to know. Okay, so the cost for the 3 streetlights, as I understand, would be $94.47 monthly, for those 3 streetlights. Is that right?
Correct. So they're actually gonna come in and put new street, new posts and everything, new fixtures,
Oh,
and everything up.
okay.
Okay, and that's coming
Why
out
is
of
that?
7-cent
The
gas
ones
tax.
that are out there don't meet their standards height wise, they're a lot more like a residential pole.
Yeah, okay,
So they're gonna,
okay.
you know.
So Alabama Power is replacing
standard,
it?
right.
Okay.
What was the cost?
$94.47 per month.
Per month, and that's
For
coming out
3
of
lights.
7-cent gas tax.
Okay, I would make a motion, to approve, because we don't have a choice.
Second.
Yeah.
We'll move to approve. Second, Counselor Allen. Any other discussion? Thank you, Randy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 5-0.
5 is.
Y'all gonna miss me when I'm gone. All right. I know this is the last one. It's the last one. I'm even moving out of my chair. I'm gonna move out of the chair.
Are we
and
shifting?
Yeah, well,
I
I mean,
I'm
the
just gonna
the
wander
chair is gonna be
around, you
occupied
know,
at some
I don't
point,
know.
it won't be occupied by him.
I
Might
know,
sit
like-
over there in Berkeley.
As I said, we all shifted there.
Okay, moving on to new business. 09-10-24, request to surplus miscellaneous IT equipment. We have Brandon here to,
So basically, we would just like to surplus, we found, there's a lot of stuff. It's been riding around, and a lot of it's been riding around in Justin's trunk for a while. Stuff that was in the server room that is just taking up space. So we're basically just trying to get room for inventory. A lot of old monitors, old, access points, things that we could no longer use. We pulled the hard drives out of everything that we could pull the hard drive out of, so it'd be safe to scrap it.
All right, well, I would make a motion to approve the, IT equipment as presented.
Second.
okay, moved by Counselor Smith, and then Gwaltney, I think you did. Counselor Gwaltney seconded that. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 5-0, that passes. Okay, 10-10-24, request to set bid date for new police vehicles. And, what was the requested bid date,
As soon as
for?
Mike, how quickly can we do this?
We're gonna buy these off state vendors, or gonna buy these?
We couldn't because they,
I'd say minimum, at least 2 weeks. That's pushing.
you wanna tell them?
I'll tell them. Yeah, that's fine, I'll tell them.
Okay. So,
That would be what?
the
November
18th.
Huh?
November
Yeah.
18th.
November 18th?
Did we just?
Oh, yeah,
Assuming 2 weeks will work, that's the 18th.
because, the
that's 2
city of
weeks from
Montgomery
tonight.
bought all the ones that were available off the bid list in advance. We just
2
talked
weeks
about it, that's the
won't
reason I know, and the reason we're trying to do this real quickly is because somebody else is trying to purchase these that are available, they're trying to outbid us for them and get them before we do. And they're the literally only ones left in the state. I think they're in Scottsboro somewhere.
Scottsboro.
Scottsboro. Okay, so that would be November 18th.
Are you moving that to,
Yes,
uh,
that sounds like that's
approve,
what we're meeting.
or set the bid date for the
Yeah.
November 18th? Moved by Counselor Smith,
We
seconded by
don't have any
Counselor
reason.
Allen.
Counselor Jones.
Is that let's say 4 o'clock that day?
Or 4:30,
4:30?
I mean, 4, let's just go 4.
4 p.m.
It's early.
Counselor Smith had a question. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yes, I was just wondering about, some of the discussions about the vehicle fleet is about kind of standardizing the makes of the vehicles. Is that able to be taken into consideration with this bid?
This is all going through Lester and Blake and JJ, they're working on
Yeah,
that
they're
to make sure.
working on
that-
all
Fantastic.
of
I
that.
just I didn't know
Yeah,
for sure, so I
yeah,
wanted
and
to
Blake
ask.
is now kind
Thank you,
of,
Lester.
he is centralizing that, he is the one who's selecting those vehicles and making sure that we're getting the right ones.
Thank you.
These have to do with the police vehicles, the Tahoes. Right.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, it was two things.
Which will also allow us to get a complete inventory to keep track of.
Great.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Correct.
we're gonna make all Andy Gwaltney's dreams come true.
All right, that has been motioned and seconded. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0, going to council tonight. 11-10-24, request to authorize the mayor to sign an IGA with the city of Birmingham. And where's Kale?
He's not here, that's why he and I met so that I could explain it to
Oh,
everybody.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I sent everything out to everybody.
Yes.
for
Green
today.
Springs, right?
Yeah, so this is, it's,
Intergovernmental.
the Christ Church that's in the old, Salvation Army thrift store.
Yeah.
It's the ditch right there along Green Springs next to the church, and apparently they've been calling about it for like 8 months, about how bad a shape it's in. And so, Berkeley and Kale have been working on it, and I think we had a relatively good idea of what the price was gonna be. And then Kale went to the Regional Planning Commission and found their maintenance map, and it's actually, according to the Regional Planning Commission, Birmingham's maintenance responsibility. So he went to them to talk to them about paying for it, and they said, we will not.
Yeah, we've maintained that area in the past, cause
Right.
that's our road going up through there.
Yeah.
And we've always done that,
That
to be honest with
side.
you, in my time here, they've always, if you're going toward Birmingham, they've always done the right side, and we've always kind of maintained the left side, so.
But they, so they,
Yeah.
yes, it's right by the church, and so they worked with the city, and finally the city of Birmingham called and said, we'll split it with y'all. So we need to have Alex sign the agreement, in order to get reimbursed half the cost from the city of Birmingham.
Can we do that all across the
areas? I know,
Share?
So y'all, the money's already been approved.
Yeah.
Y'all have done that. a couple
And you're
months ago.
pretty much ready to go
Yeah, I mean,
to do it.
the contract's just waiting on us to give the go.
But both mayors have to sign it.
Yes, and
Yeah.
right now, we do have to adjust the agreement because it currently has the wrong mayor's name on it. Yeah, he is, and he is, but so we're gonna go ahead and let Randall sign it first, and then we'll get
Yeah.
the fixed copy to you. So, the only thing, we don't have to have you sign it tonight, we just need to have it approved tonight to be signed, so that we can get our money back.
On the approval, Birmingham requires an ordinance. Why, I don't know, it doesn't matter. So there'll be an ordinance, I'll need to read.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And
Well,
what is the cost that's being split?
60,000?
Yeah, it's a little under, I believe 58 or 59,000.
They're basically
So
reimbursing us
30 on
half.
our side, 30 on their
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
That's roughly about that much.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve having the mayor sign, the IGA with the city. of Birmingham.
Second by Mr. Hard. Moved by Mrs. Smith. One question, Mike, so are you saying we can handle it as a resolution, correct?
No.
No, we
So
have.
we need to do it as an ordinance also?
What they sent us an ordinance, I'll read it.
Okay, so we'll have to do it as an ordinance, got it, okay, just want to clarify that. Okay, any other questions? Tell Kel thank you for negotiating, and you too, Berkeley. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, that passes. And our last item, 13-10-24, request for consideration of creating a Homewood beautification plan, from the beautification board.
So as the beautification board liaison, I'll just kind of introduce this item from where it's at. You know, the board presented this back prior to budget. It was included in the budget. So at this point, this is kind of just to put it back into consideration of you know, what the committee would like to see as next steps. Previously, the board had written a scope to kind of craft the initial, you know, project activities and kind of what the parameters of the plan would be. Also identified some consultants who do that type work and talk to them. So really just looking for guidance from the finance committee of what you want to see next, if you want the board to present anything further, or if the finance committee members directly will kind of you know, work on it from there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because I have an opinion, but, you
Yeah.
know.
So I think because it's gotta be the city that actually contracts with them, I think we have to go through the formal process, even though the beautification board has already started it. And I think we can, unless the finance committee wants to change the parameters of what we're asking these people to bid on, you can carry the two proposals that we have over, I think, and they don't have to resubmit them. but then you've gotta give them, you've gotta have some time open to let, and I know there's been discussion about maybe there's a third or fourth, group that might be interested in it. So I would suggest that you leave, that you just sort of start the formal process over, but the beautification board's already given you the parameters of what you're doing. And so all that needs to be done now is the mechanics of opening it up for some period of time to let other groups submit, carry the two that you've already got over, and then move forward from there with whichever one you want.
Is there an RFP? I mean, is it in an RFP or?
And because it's professional services, there's not a,
Yeah, it's not actually bid.
it's not an
It's just for
open bid,
proposals.
but there
We were
was
interested in
essentially,
just
yes, there was an RFP / request for people to submit a statement of interest to progress. So there were, as Alex is referencing, there's 2 who submitted, then there's a couple more who, we could reach back out to. I think Mary Michael Kelly's already reached back out to them. But, basically it's just, once they have the information, should they make a recommendation to the committee, formally through the beautification board and hand it over with a recommendation? That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I think since it's the city that's gotta make the decision, I would just have the city consider the proposal. I mean, again, I
Okay.
think the beautification board's sort of done the work of saying, this is what we're talking about. Now it's just a matter of the proposals that match that and letting the city decide which group it wants to move forward with.
But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to, since they've been involved in this process and they've obviously put way more thought and look into it than I have, I would love to hear kind of what their thought process is. I mean, obviously, that's not a formal recommendation, but just like from our perspective, looking at who we've talked to and what they're proposing, we do
Correct.
like this idea.
I just don't think we can outsource
Yeah, no,
the decision-making
Right,
process
right.
to one of the boards.
Yeah, no,
So
I
that's-
totally agree. I would like to hear their
Yeah.
feedback.
So I'll ask the board to, provide information on the scope and the project again, and I'll ask Mary Michael to share the proposals, statements of interest received,
Yeah.
so that the finance committee can review that.
Well, and so if we're gonna solicit additional proposals for this work, they would need to go to Bo or to Brian for the website, or how do we disseminate that to interested parties?
So,
Because that's my concern, is last time there were parties that were interested, so we wanna make sure we capture those this time, so we're not like starting this process
So,
over multiple
I
times.
would think we'd handle it the same way we've handled other RFPs. So if there's, if we know of a party that's interested, we can send that to them.
Okay.
So that they can review it. If there's, and by the same token, or at the same time, we can we can post the RFP, on all the city stuff,
Yeah.
website, all of that stuff, so that anyone that we don't know of that's interested also has the opportunity to
Send
do
the
it.
link to it.
But certainly, if anyone knows a group that's interested, then there's no problem with letting them know what's going on.
So there is
So-
an RFP.
It's not technically an
Yeah,
RFP,
I
'cause this
think that's
doesn't-
probably
this
a
is a
little
professional
bit
service.
What does
glorified
that say?
name for it, but
Like how, you said you could send that to them.
I
but
think,
what
I
is
think,
that?
I think whatever their scope of,
Services.
what they
Is it
explained to
on
us
the
during budget hearings.
Right.
Remember they
But
came
like,
in.
is it captured in a document? Is it captured in?
They have-
Define
they-
the
I know
metrics
they
of what
give it.
someone is going to put a proposal in.
That's what.
Say,
I'm asking.
and a deadline, and I mean,
That's what I'm
typical
asking
RFP is
too.
gonna have a deadline when we want the information to
otherwise-
us.
But again,
This
it's
shit's
not
gonna
an
be all over the
RFP.
board.
Okay,
I
right,
can't
but
say
how do
this
you
enough.
Sorry.
describe
Hold
to
on a
them what it is
So
that they,
you can make it an RFP if you want to. That's up to y'all if you want to do that, or you can simply,
Let-
I don't know what the beautification board put together.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just requested requested proposals, or if they actually gave some my understanding was they gave some parameters of what it would
Yeah.
include.
They did.
There.
could
So-
you share that with everybody? I mean, that's.
So that,
Do y'all not remember
No, they
that?
do,
They
I
do,
know,
but
but
I
there's
don't have
nothing,
a-
it's like, right,
How do I
but
invite
that's
someone
what
in?
I'm
I
saying.
understand. So what I'm saying is,
exactly what
you
I'm
get that document from the beautification board with the parameters that the other two have already submitted proposals on. Send it out to anyone you wanna send it out to, post it for anyone that we don't know about that's interested, set a due date, get whatever additional proposals there are back, and then you interview those groups or talk to them and make a decision.
Kinda like what we did
Can
with.
you forward to the entire council, or whoever has that information, so we all have it?
Sure.
To see That's what I'm trying to say, like,
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm
Right.
saying, that we're saying the same thing.
right.
Yeah, the beautification board just needs to get that to the council, so.
So
that we
how
can-
is that gonna come to the council? Could you mind sending that to everybody?
Yes, I can, and I'll coordinate with Mary Michael to make sure she, as chair, is just kind of in the communication loop as well, so that
Yeah.
if there's any follow-up, she can help coordinate with the board on getting that. But, I mean, this is exactly what we're hoping to achieve, honestly, with the item tonight, is just kind of like, what does the committee, what does council want next, so we can progress with the project post-budget, so, thank you.
So really what the committee's deciding tonight is, do you wanna see what the beautification board did first, or do you wanna go ahead and set out a timetable and a timeline for when stuff is going to be submitted?
I think we should see it, because then we can decide whether we need to do a more formal RFP or not. And so we can see if
That's
it just,
fine.
does this suffice, or does it need to be meatier?
And did they have any kind of timeline in mind, or are they really looking to us to set that timeline? in
Well,
place?
their original timeline was they were hoping to, have it in the budget, determine a consultant, in this fourth quarter, hopefully with the project starting in Q1 of 2025. I mean, that was, because in speaking with consultants, that was the available time frame they had, and
Okay.
trying to get it on their calendar. But,
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we've got to do due diligence first, so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
And
no.
this is budgeted. You
It
know,
is
we're
budgeted.
really
It's
just
already
talking about logistics, so, why don't we carry it over and you disseminate the information, and then the committee can decide what, how we wanna, if we wanna set the dates, for additional submissions, or we take what has been submitted already and make a decision. How does that sound with everybody? Any objection to that?
Nope, sounds good.
Okay, so we'll carry over 13-10-24. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Move second.
Last motion to.
All in
adjourn.
favor, say aye. We're out.
Peace out, finance.
Peace out.
This is very anticlimactic.
That
it really
was, we're right, that was.
Not a lot of-
So we were talking about it this morning, me and Bo were talking about it this morning, how long have you been in the finance chair? 20.
For November 4, 2024, Counselor Andrews.
Here.
Waltney.
Here.
Wolverton. Here. Sims.
Here.
Nelms.
Here.
Full house.
Ooh, full house. Okay, well, I'll begin with the motion to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes from our last meeting.
So moved.
Okay, Gwaltney with the motion, Nelms with the second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Andrew, please. It'll take 2 seconds. We're almost done. Okay, but you need to vote on the minutes, like.
Go ahead, yes.
Okay, the motion in the second, and then we all voted, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes 5-0. Okay, 140924, request for consideration of zoning adjustments related to grade. Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, so, the mayor and the new mayor and I, met with Kale and discussed, these are gonna roll up into existing changes that are going to the planning commission, so we can drop this item until those changes come back.
All right, so the motion, the proper motion would be to drop.
So moved.
All right, motion from Counselor Gwaltney, second.
Second.
Second from Counselor Sims. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes 5-0, and without objection, we will adjourn.
Consent.